Week, Kentucky became the latest state to recognize out-of-state same-sex marriages when a federal judge struck down the ban on Wednesday. Kentucky now joins a growing list of conservative states where judges have ruled in favor of same-sex marriage. That includes Virginia, Utah, and Oklahoma. So could legalization be following? Join me now, Democratic Congressman from Kentucky, John Yarmuth, member of the Budget Committee and the Commerce Committee. As always, welcome. It's nice to see you.
Good to see you, Alex.
So you have said, practically speaking, sir, that this is the end of the ban on gay marriage in your state. Let's look at the latest poll there, which finds that 55% of Kentucky voters oppose legalization. Could you see a vote for same-sex marriage passing in the near future?
Well, no, but I think this is the kind of thing, historically, when you're talking about civil rights of individuals, these are things that are not subject to a vote or a majority rule. That's what our Constitution is designed to protect, the civil rights of minorities. That's what the Bill of Rights is about. So, no, it wouldn't pass a vote, but Judge Haburn, in his decision, which is a brilliant decision, by the way, from a Republican-appointed judge, basically said there is no legitimate government interest in treating people differently and in this area. So, and he strongly hinted in the decision that if he were presented with a case testing whether the constitutional ban on same-sex marriage in Kentucky would be constitutional, that he would rule it unconstitutional. So, you know, Kentucky's like every other place in the country. This is attitudes are changing quickly,
yeah.
And you know, give it 5 more years, and I think a vote would change the outcome.
Well, I was going to say the evolution. We have some numbers to compare. We talked about the 55% that would oppose it now. 10 years ago, it was different. 72% of Kentuckians oppose same-sex marriage. So with that 17% difference now, what do you think is changing in a state that most people see as very conservative?
Well, I think, first of all, people realize that now gay and lesbian couples are getting married all over the country. The sun still comes up in the morning. Their marriages aren't being threatened. And actually now more and more people actually know married same-sex couples. So it's like anything else. People fear the unknown, but as things like this become more and more common, then their attitudes change and they're more rapidly accepted.
Yeah.
Kentucky's the same way. But, you know, Kentucky still has a very strong fundamentalist religious core in many parts of the state, and that's going to be a tough part of the society to crack.
Yeah, okay. Let's switch gears here now and talk about the White House, which released the latest Obamacare enrollment numbers this week. 3.3 million people have now enrolled, which is about halfway or so to the CBO estimate of 7 million by March 31st.
Right.
What do you think? Would you bet on, with 2 months to go, it's going to happen? Wait, not even 2 months now.
I don't know if we'll get to 7. Right, no, just a month and a half. I don't know if we'll get to 7 million, but I think the new estimate is that we'll get close to 6 million, which, given the onset of the program and all the problems there, I think is remarkable. And if you look at the pace of sign-ups, where it's basically 1 million people a month, you know, that's a pretty good sign. In Kentucky, we're still enrolling 1,700 people a day. And so the pace of enrollments has actually picked up a little bit in Kentucky, even though Kentucky's had a very smooth operation from the beginning. We're now at 231,000 Kentuckians who have signed up for coverage since October 1st, and 50,000 of them are in private plans. And the greatest news is that even in the private plans, 32% of those who signed up are under 35. So the mix is very, very good.
Yeah, and that was super important. They had to get certainly the youth signing up.
Very important.
Republicans, as you know, they're accusing President Obama of changing the rules in the middle of the game here. And they say that the employment mandate extension is illegal. Now, if this were a Republican president, would you be fine with the White House changing a law without congressional approval? Just have to ask.
Oh, probably not, Alex. I was pretty outspoken when George Bush said, I am the decider, and I didn't think that was very good at the time. But, you know, the problem we have is that even when we have problems with the Affordable Care Act that both sides agree on, we can't get a legislative fix. This is an area we probably could get bipartisan agreement on, extending the employer mandate. I don't think Republicans would vote against that. But, again, if you put a bill up to do that, then all of a sudden it's going to have a repeal provision added to it, and the whole thing will fail. So the president's in a tough spot. He wants to make this work for the most people in the country, and unfortunately, Congress is not cooperating with him in making the changes that would make the entire program function better.
Yeah. I do appreciate your honesty. Anyway, let's take a listen to the president in this morning's weekly address. Here's that.
Most low-wage jobs are held by women, and raising the minimum wage wouldn't just raise their wages. Its effect would lift wages for about 28 million Americans. It would lift millions of Americans out of poverty and help millions more work their way out of poverty without requiring a single dollar in new taxes or spending.
What is the conversation in Congress on this right now? Does either side think that they can raise this issue in an election year?
Well, of course, Democrats are strongly and almost unanimously in favor of raising the minimum wage to at least $10.10 an hour. We know that there are a lot of Republicans who understand that this is something that could be very helpful, again, not just in lifting people out of poverty, but in actually creating more economic growth. But they're worried about their primary elections and people in their own party. So it's highly that we can get that through the House, but I think if you actually put it up for a vote, there'd be a majority, largely Democrats, but there would be a majority of the House that would vote for raising the minimum wage.
Okay. Representative John Yarmuth, is always a pleasure. Thanks so much.